Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to discuss current affairs of 18th November 2021. In this lecture, we are going to discuss 7 topics which are very much relevant to our UPSC. So let's get started with our discussion and let us try to see the first topic. So here first topic we are going to discuss about school enrollment fell during pandemic. So why school enrollment mainly fell? Due to this COVID-19 pandemic, number of people they lost their job. So number of people they do not have, even till now there is no proper livelihood opportunities, and there is decreasing of wages, cutting of wages are mainly seen. So because of all these things, now enrollment especially in the private schools has been fell down. It is according to this ACER report. Okay, so we are going to see what is this ACER and what is this report mainly talking about. So this article will be important from GS paper 2 under education. And next topic is about new Pakistan law allows Jadhav to file appeal. So actually this article, it is really related to our international relations. Already you know some background, right? So this Yadav, Kulbhushan Yadav, he is Indian naval officer. He mainly arrested on case like espionage. Okay, so he also gave like death penalty by Pakistan court, and later on India approached ICJ, International Court of Justice. Okay, ICJ, and later on ICJ came with the judgment. So according to that judgment, Pakistan came up with this new law, and this new law mainly allows Jadhav to file appeal. So this article will be very important from our international relations, which mainly comes under our India-Pakistan relations especially, and even this International Court of Justice is also very important. And next topic is about privilege motion. So if you have completed your basic polity, then you will be having come across to this privilege motion. So here we are going to discuss what is this privilege motion. That will be very important from your polity, from especially static syllabus. This will come under our GS paper 2. And next topic is about all closed doors of military are being opened for women. So this is about I can say PC, Permanent Commission for Women. Already regarding this topic, I think 4 days back there is one news article which appeared in our Hindu analysis, but then at that time we didn't discuss. Now we are going to discuss that in a very great detail. And next one is India to hold first 2+2 dialogue with Russia. So as of now, India is having 2+2 dialogue with the US and as well as Japan, Australia. For the first time, you are having this 2+2 dialogue with this Russia on December 6th. So here, this thing that is very important, that is India is also holding this 2+2 dialogue with Russia. And this will be important from our international relations, which mainly comes under GS paper 2. And next topic is about wide fault lines within global climate risk index. So we need to know about what is this global climate risk index, what are the key findings, and what are the important things related to especially India, and what is way forward. So we are going to discuss that. That will be important from our environment and ecology, which mainly comes under GS paper 3. And next topic is about transfer as punishment. So in yesterday I added one article in last, that is important topics in news. So there we didn't discuss about this topic much. Now we are going to discuss this topic regarding transfer and appointment of judges. So this will be important from polity point of view, which mainly comes under our GS paper 2. So these are the list of the topics now we are going to discuss in this lecture. So now let us see the first article. So if you see title, it mainly says that school education fell during pandemic. Okay, so here this article mainly talking about school enrollment mainly decreased during this pandemic, and if you are comparing with the states, there is a lot of gap that is present from one state to another state. Only 5 out of 26 states have more than half of enrolled children. Okay, only 5 of 26 states they have more than half of the children which mainly enroll in online activities. Okay, so if you see here green color part, here we have Kerala, okay, and here we have this state. So in these two areas only we can see the students who attended online classes much. So you can see where your state stands here. And now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. First, let us try to see context why it is in news. Why it is in news? Because ASA, okay, Annual Status of Education Report 2021 released. So in this ASA report, it mainly said that percentage of rural children who were not enrolled in school doubled during this pandemic. Okay, especially rural children, the percentage of rural children who were not enrolled in the school, which mainly doubled. Okay, and if you're talking about with government schools seeing an increase in enrollment at expense of private schools. So now after whenever the schools had been started, so now instead of joining children in private schools, people they started joining children in the government school because of livelihood opportunities. There is no livelihood opportunities, there is no lack of income, everything. So if you're talking about details, it mainly says that over a third of children enrolled in class 1 and class 2, they have never attended school in person. So due to this COVID-19 related things. And this one is in a survey over 76,000 households with the children who are aged between 6 to 14 years. ASER found that 92% of children they had textbook of their grade, and only third they have access to any other learning resource or support. And next one is with smartphone availability and access, it is a very much limited, and because of online learning which mainly restricted to a quarter of students. So because of lack of digital gadgets, I can say like digital divide, so many students they can't attend this online classes. So if you're talking about different states, they are having gap actually. So 91% of students from Kerala and 80% of students from Himachal Pradesh, they had their online education. But only 10% of Bihar and as well as 13% from West Bengal, they had online education. So from one state to another state also the variation that is mainly seen regarding students enrolled. Okay. So now let us try to see some facts regarding this ASA. ASER mainly stands for Annual Status of Education Report. It is Annual Status of Education Report. So if you're talking about this ASER, it is a national-wide survey of rural education and learning outcomes, okay, in terms of reading and as well as writing skills. So here this ASER, which is nothing but I can say it will do national survey, national-wide survey. So it mainly focus on rural education, and it is also focused on learning outcomes in the terms of reading and as well as arithmetic skills. And this ASER report, okay, ASER report or ASER study mainly conducted by NGO, that is Pratham. So this will be very important. And it mainly uses census 2011 as a sample frame, and it continues to be an important national source of information about children's foundational skills across the country. Okay, and it also said about in 2018, which mainly surveyed between the age group of 3 to 16 years, and it mainly focused on foundation as well as arithmetic skills. And in 2019, it mainly reported regarding preschooling and schooling status in children who are between 4 to 8 years. And this one is in 2020. So it came up with a phone-based ASER survey because of this COVID-19 pandemic restrictions. Okay, so it mainly focused on 6 months of national school closures. So these are some important facts that you need to know regarding this ASER. Now let us try to talk about the next topic. Title says new Pakistan law allows Jadhav to file appeal. So it is mainly talking about new Pak law. So to understand this, you need to know who is this Kulbhushan Yadav and what is the issue and what is the background, what is the ICJ judgment, everything you need to know. So if you are beginners, you might not know about this case actually, because here this person Kulbhushan Yadav, okay, Kulbhushan Yadav, he was mainly came up with the charges of espionage in year 2017. So I think if you are beginner, you might not have been started preparation in 2017, right? So now let us try to see what is this case, what is the context, everything in great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that Pakistan's parliament, okay, Pakistan's parliament in its joint sitting, it enacted a law, and this law will give Indian Indian death row prisoner, that is Kulbhushan Jadhav. Mainly this law will give him permission to right to file a review appeal against his conviction by military court. Okay, so by military court, whatever the thing which mainly said, that is death sentence, here now this law mainly gives this prisoner Kulbhushan Jadhav right to file a review. If you're talking about the details, it mainly says that Mr. Jadhav, he is a 51 years old retired Indian Navy officer. He is 51-year-old retired Indian naval officer. He was sentenced to death by Pakistani military court on charges of espionage and terrorism in April 2017. In April 2017, he was sentenced to death by Pakistan military court. So later on, India moved to International Court of Justice, that is ICJ. Okay. So after this verdict, which is given by this military court of Pakistan, India did not have any choice, but it approached this International Court of Justice. In International Court of Justice, after hearing by the two sides, from the Pakistan side and from the Indian side, so the Hague-based ICJ issued a verdict in year 2019. Okay, and in this verdict here, ICJ mainly asked Pakistan to give India consular access to this Mr. Jadhav and to ensure review for his conviction. Okay, and here this ICJ allowed for consular access and as well as to review his conviction. So now let us try to talk about what is all about this new law. So this new law, it is nothing but International Court of Justice Review and Reconsideration Bill 2021. And this bill mainly aims to fulfill obligations under the verdict of ICJ. ICJ said that there is a need of consular access, and also it said that we need to go for review of judgment, right? So because of this, so this new law, International Court of Justice Review and Reconsideration Bill 2021, so it mainly aims at fulfilling the obligation under the verdict of this ICJ. And here this law mainly passed by joint sitting of the House through voice vote. Through voice vote, this law mainly passed. And this law allowed this Mr. Jadhav to challenge his conviction in the High Court through review process, which was the requirement of this ICJ verdict. So in this way now, Kulbhushan Jadhav, he mainly go for a conviction in the High Court, and he can ask for review of his conviction. And if you talk about what are the key observations made by this International Court of Justice, so first one is here Pakistan, that is Islamabad, has violated Article 36 of Vienna Convention of Consular Relations, because Pakistan is not allowing for the consular access here. Next one is India had been deprived of right to communicate with and as well as to have access with Jadhav, and to visit him in detention, and as well as to arrange his legal representation. So it is not allowed, so it is also deprived. So in this way, so these are two important key observations which were made by this ICJ. So now let us try to talk about what is this ICJ, this International Court of Justice. So if you are talking about this International Court of Justice, it was established in 1945 by United Nations Charter. It is a principal judicial organ of United Nations, and it mainly situated at the Peace Palace in The Hague. It mainly situated in Peace Palace in The Hague. Unlike the 6 principal organs of United Nations, it is the only one not located in the New York. Okay, and it is the only one not located in the New York. And if you're talking about some important functions of this ICJ, which mainly settles legal disputes between the states, and it will also give some advisory opinions in accordance with the international law, or any legal questions which are mainly referred, it will also come up with this dissolving of disputes, etc. And these are some important facts that you need to remember regarding this ICJ. And I hope it is very much clear. And now let us try to see next topic. It is a very interesting, that is about privilege motion against CBIED in West Bengal. So now let us try to see, actually this article will be important from our polity, which comes under GS paper 2. So you might have heard about what is this privileges, parliamentary privileges. So for individuals we have individual parliamentary privileges, and as a whole we have this combined parliamentary privileges, right? So what happened here? Now let us try to understand. So here context here is in West Bengal, Trinamool Congress moved a breach of privilege motion in West Bengal Assembly. So in West Bengal Assembly here, Trinamool Congress moved this privilege motion here against CBIED. So if you're talking about some facts regarding what are this privilege motion. So privilege motion is nothing but whenever the privilege of parliamentary members, okay, they are mainly breached, then the privilege motion will be passed. So if you're talking about breach of privileges, parliamentary privileges, they are certain rights and immunities. They are enjoyed by the member of parliaments individually and as well as collectively, right? So why we need these parliamentary privileges? Because it will be helpful in effective discharge of their functions. And when any of these rights and immunities they are disregarded or violated, then this offense is called as breach of privilege. And for this breach of privilege, it can be punished under law of parliament. So what happens here, whenever there is a breach of privilege, a notice which mainly moved in the form of motion by any member of the house. So by any member of the house, they can mainly move this motion of privilege. Okay, and if you're talking about who has the role here, so first of all we need to talk about speaker and as well as Rajya Sabha chairman. So for Lok Sabha speaker, he is the presiding officer, and for Rajya Sabha chairman is the presiding officer. So speaker and as well as chairman, okay, speaker in the case of Lok Sabha and chairperson in the case of Rajya Sabha, they were the first person, okay, they will go for first level of scrutiny of the privilege motion. And later on, the speaker or chairperson, they can decide on the privilege motion himself or herself. So if they cannot refer, means they will be handed over to this parliamentary privileges committee. So there is a privileges committee of parliament, so it may be referred there. So here you need to know about which are these individual privileges and as well as which are the collective privileges. So this will be your homework, and let me know in comment box. And this is the gist of this topic. And now let us try to see next topic. Title says all closed doors of military are being opened for women. So this article mainly talking about PC, Permanent Commission of Women. So we are going to discuss each and everything that you need to know regarding this PC. So this article will be important from GS paper 2 under women empowerment as well. And if you are talking about context, it mainly says that about 2 lakh girls from across the country, they have appeared in this admission test for NDA, that is National Defence Academy. So this is the thing which mainly said by our defense minister. So whenever these women they are coming from their home and they are want to entering into this army, it is one of the important steps that we can say for women empowerment. So if you are talking about details, it mainly says that after Supreme Court cautioned the Indian Army of contempt, the centre has assured the court that it will roll out permanent commission, that is PC option, to all eligible women army officers. Okay, so after Supreme Court cautioned the Indian Army of contempt, so the centre has assured the court that it will roll out permanent commission option. Okay, so actually Supreme Court said that yes, permanent commission that need to be given for women, but regarding that, centre did not take any actions. So because of that, Supreme Court mainly cautioned that Indian Army of contempt. So because of this, now central government has assured court that it will roll out permanent commission for eligible women candidates. So if you're talking about background, it mainly says that Supreme Court in February 2020. Okay, Supreme Court in February 2020 directed the government to ensure that women officers in the army be granted permanent commission as well as command postings in all services other than that combat. Okay, so here Supreme Court mainly said that, mainly directed government that here women officers, women officers in army, they need to be granted with this permanent commission, and they need to be given combat postings in all services other than combat. Okay, so if you see that famous case, that is Nitisha versus Union of India case. So in this case, in 2021 March, Supreme Court held that army selections, okay, army selective evaluation process discriminated against and as well as disproportionately affected women officers regarding this permanent commission. So this is the thing which mainly said by this famous judgment. So here, if you're talking about what is this permanent commission means nothing but it is a career, okay, it is a career in the army till retirement. So while if you are selected under this SSC, that is short service commission, it is for 10 years. So after this SSC, there is no option for women to continue, but they can go for just extension of 4 years. But in permanent commission, if you are entering into this permanent commission only, you can get some options like pension, etc. That is mainly deprived, right? So if you're talking about what is the issue here is males who are entering through this SSC, they can opt for this permanent commission after end of their 10 years of service, and this option which is not available for women. So because of this, women are mainly kept out of this command appointment, and as well as they could not qualify for government pension. Okay, government pension which starts only after 25 years if you're doing service as an officer. So in this way, women, they are mainly deprived. Okay, so this is the issue. And if you're talking about why government which is mainly against providing permanent commission for women, so what are the important reasons which are mainly cited by government? So first one is women, they are best suited for motherhood, child care and psychological limitations. They have a bearing on the employment of women's officers in the army. So when women, they are continuing in the army beyond this 10 years, then that will affect motherhood, child care and as well as psychological limitations. And next one is family separation, career prospects of spouse and education of children, prolonged absence due to pregnancy, motherhood. They were the greater challenges that are mainly faced by women. And if you're talking about physical limitations, soldiers will be asked mainly to work in difficult terrains, isolated posts and as well as some adverse climate conditions. And officers, they have to lead from the front. Okay, so it is not suitable for women. And this one is behavior and as well as psychological challenges. So army units, they are very much unique. Okay, all male environment are mainly seen here. And if you see the presence of women officers, that would require moderated behavior. So even these army personnel, they will be coming from especially rural background. They will not listen or accept command of a woman, female leader or woman leader. So these are some important things that you need to remember. Now let us try to see next topic. It is about 2+2 dialogue between India and Russia. So this will be a very important topic regarding our GS paper 2, okay, which mainly comes under international relations. So if you're trying to talk about context, it mainly says that External Affairs Minister, that is S. Jaishankar, and Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, they are likely to hold their first 2+2 format talks with Russian counterparts. Okay, so we are going to have this 2+2 dialogue, okay, between India and Russia. If you see some details, it mainly says that this 2+2 format, which mainly agreed to during a Modi-Putin phone conversation in April. So in April 2021, our Prime Minister National Putin, they talked in a mobile telephone. So there they came up with this 2+2 format. Okay, as of now, India mainly conducts this foreign and as well as a defense ministerial summit between our closest partners, for example, US, Japan and Australia. For the first time, we are going to have this summit between India and Russia. And this one is Russia thus far has 2+2 format for the problem solving with countries such as Japan, France and as well as earlier with the US. And if you're talking about what is this 2+2 dialogue, that is nothing but it is a talks between which and which persons. Let me know in comment box. Okay, so India mainly holds similar dialogues with US, Australia and as well as Japan. So Russia, it is the first non-Quad member we are going to have this type of dialogue. And in 2021, President Putin is to visit India to hold India-Russia bilateral summit, and this summit is alternatively held in India and Russia. So these are some important things. And if you're talking about progress of relationship between India and Russia, so in which areas we have proper cooperation. So first one is, if you're talking about Russia, it is one of the largest defense supplier of India. So it is one of the largest defense supplier of India, and here we also going to get this S-400 Triumph missile system from Russia to India. And next one is, these two are members of this Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And not only this, Russia mainly supports entry of India into this permanent membership in this United Nations Security Council. And not only that, if you're talking about trade target between India and Russia, which is reaching about 30 billion US dollars, okay, trade by 2025 is a target. And previously, these two countries, India and Russia, they need to establish, okay, they agreed mainly to establish this international north-south transport corridor, and they also talked about cooperation at Eurasian Economic Union and even Chennai's Vladivostok Maritime Corridor. So these are the some important things that you need to remember for sure. And apart from this, astronauts are also shortlisted for human space flight program, that is Gaganyaan. Okay, that is our Gaganyaan program. So in this Gaganyaan program, here these astronauts are getting trained by Russia, and the nuclear power plant that is being built in Kudankulam in Tamil Nadu, which is mainly built with Russian cooperation. And India also recently approved this Russia Sputnik 5, that is COVID-19 vaccine, and it is the third vaccine to be approved in the country after this Covaxin as well as Covishield. So in these areas we have good relationship with Russia. And if you're talking about what agreements that govern India and Russian relations, so this topic will be important, especially from your prelims. Okay, so in 1971, okay, 1971, one more historical event that held, let me know in comment box. So in 1971, Russia and as well as India, they signed a treaty. This treaty is of peace and friendship. So this treaty is Peace and Friendship Treaty signed in year 1971. And this agreement, it was the manifestation of shared goals between the countries. It is a manifestation of shared goals between the countries. And after the dissolution of Soviet Union in 1991, India and Russia, they signed military technical cooperation agreement. So these are some important agreements that are mainly present between India and Russia. So these mainly govern our India-Russia relationships. Okay, so this is about this topic, and now let us try to move on to next topic. It is about Global Climate Risk Index. The title says wide fault lines within the Global Climate Risk Index. So this article will be important from Environment and Ecology, which mainly comes under GS paper 3. Now let us try to talk about this topic in a very great detail. So if you're talking about this Global Climate Risk Index, okay, if you're talking about this Global Climate Risk Index, the international environmental think tank, that is German Watch. So which organization releases this Global Climate Risk Index? That is German Watch. So this German Watch released this Global Climate Risk Index 2021. And this is not for the first time. This is the 16th edition. So this is a 16th edition which mainly published, and this will be published every year, that is annually. So if you're talking about this German Watch, it is mainly based in Bonn and Berlin, that is in Germany. And this German Watch, it is an independent development and as well as environmental organization. So this organization mainly works on sustainable goal development. And if you're talking about 2021 findings, it mainly says that Mozambique, Zimbabwe as well as Bahamas, they were the most affected countries in 2019. And for a period from 2000 to 2019, other countries like Puerto Rico and as well as Myanmar, Haiti, they rank highest. And even if you're talking about threats, mainly because of, we can say, like storms and as well as precipitation, floods, landslides. So these were the major causes for the loss and as well as damages in 2019. Okay, so if you're talking about further more details, so what is about this index actually? If you are talking about some facts regarding this index, so this index mainly analyzes the events to which countries and regions they have been affected by impacts of weather and weather related events. Okay, for example, storms, floods, heat waves, etc. And its one is impact mainly calculated in terms of fatalities and as well as economic losses. Sometimes it will also calculate both. And the most recent data which mainly available for 2019, and from 2000 to 2019 they were taken into account, and 2021 index does not include data from USA. So this is one important thing. And this climate risk index clearly signals that there were some repercussions of escalating climate change that cannot be ignored. Okay, we need to take immediate actions. And impacts of these extreme weather events that mainly hit or that mainly affect the poorest countries most. And high income countries, they are also getting severely impacted by this climate change. So if we are talking about India's position in this ranking, India ranked 7th position in this global CRI Climate Risk Index 2021, and the score here is 16.61. And if you see in 2020, India ranked 5 with score of, okay, with score of 18.7. Now we got some better ranking. Okay, and if you're talking about in 2019, so monsoon mainly lasted for an extra month, and 2019 we got 110% of normal rainfall. Okay, 1% or 110% of normal rainfall. That means we got 10% above this rainfall that we can see, or we can say like 110% of LPA, lower period average, that mainly we experienced in 2019. So because of high rainfall that led to floods, and because of these floods that caused heavy and as well as excessive rainfall, they are very much responsible for death over about 1800 people across 14 states. Okay, and because of high rainfall that also led to displacement of 1.8 million people. And we can see overall the economic damage of US dollars 10 billion was mainly caused by intense monsoons in 2019, and here it also affected about 11.8 million people. So you can understand, so what is the impact of climate change, right? So 8 tropical cyclones which mainly hit country in year 2019. So the worst is cyclone Fani. And if you're talking about suggestions here, so what can be done, what is the way forward? So if you're talking about way forward, so global COVID-19 pandemic which mainly reiterated that both risk and as well as vulnerability are systemic and they are interconnected. Okay, so here vulnerability and as well as risk, they are interconnected, they are not a single thing. So therefore we need to also focusing on strengthening of resilience, and as well as we need to focus on different types of risk like climate, geophysical, economic and as well as health related issues. And as well as after the international climate policy process which mainly started in 2020 due to this COVID-19 pandemic, expectations regarding progress on the long-term finance goals and adequate support for adaptation lie in 2021 and 2022. Okay, so after international climate policy which mainly started in 2000, okay, so what happened, expectations of this different targets of countries had been pending, okay, had been in pending here because of there is no proper adequate financing as well, financing support. So if you're talking about the process need to deliver, that means what is the way forward? So if you're talking about how can we bring climate, how can you decrease this climate change, here is we need support for vulnerable countries. Okay, especially these poorest countries, they will be having much impact of loss and as well as damage, and we need to take some necessary steps, and we need to generate some financial resources to meet the demands or to meet the needs, and we need to strengthen and we need to go for implementation of proper measures for adapting this climate change. So this is just of this topic, and now let us move on to the next topic. It is about transfer as punishment. So before seeing this article, I want to make a small announcement. So we came up with this prelims test series. Okay, prelims test series, there will be about 30 tests, which includes sectional test, which includes full length test, which includes revision test, and as well as CSAT. So this will be highly beneficial. So please join this prelims test series, and the cost is also very much affordable. It is just 5,000 rupees for 30 tests. And also we also launched this mains answer writing practice. So this time we came up with only focused on static syllabus, that is GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4, and there are about 27 essays and 26 case studies also included. So how is the test schedule? Test schedule, it is first we will start with GS1, and after completing entire GS1 we will be moving to GS2, and after completing entire GS2 we will be moving to GS3 and GS4. But on Sundays there will be essay or case study. So in weekdays you will be having answer writing practice of your static syllabus, and on Sundays there will be practice on essays or case studies, because case studies and essays are very important. Please don't neglect that. Okay, and there will be model answer given and micro listing of topics for both prelims and as well as mains, and for mains we will also provide you model answer in form of a PDF. This will be highly beneficial, and it will be like nothing much hefty. We are giving just 2 to 3 chapters a week to cover, and based on that questions will be given, right? And there will be also one-to-one mentorship. So the cost for this mains answer writing practice is also very less, that is about 7,200. It is a 1-year course. So if you are a beginner, this is an excellent course to improve your answer writing, and there will be 100% assurance of improving of your answer writing skills, and you will be having confidence that I completed my syllabus. Okay, so please join these courses, and the link of this course is given in description box. So apart from this, we also launched new foundation course, and if you want to take individual subjects like geography, economy, history, like that, you can also take individual subjects. So for that, visit our website, and the details of our website is given in description box. And if you want to talk to me, you can call to this number 8074765513. Okay, and now let's come back and let us see next topic. It is about transfer as punishment. So this article will be very important regarding GS paper 2 under polity. So first we need to know about what is this collegium system. If you're talking about this collegium system, it is mainly dealing with transfer and appointment of judges. Okay, so for the transfer and appointment of judges, we mainly go for this collegium system, and through the judgment of Supreme Court, it mainly evolved. So it is famously called as judges cases, that is first judge case, second judge case, third judge case, and fourth judge case. And what happened? So one important prelims fact that you need to remember here is, so this collegium system, which is not formed by an act of parliament, or it is not formed under any provision of constitution, but it mainly evolved through the judgment of Supreme Court. If you are talking about composition of this collegium system, so we have Chief Justice of India, he will be the head, and along with this Chief Justice of India, we have 4 other senior most judges in the court. And okay, so this collegium system which is mainly formed, and the Chief Justice and Chief Justice of High Court as head, and 4 other senior most judges of the court, they will form High Court Collegium. So Supreme Court Collegium made up of this Chief Justice of India and as well as 4 other senior judges. And here this High Court Collegium, which is mainly formed by Chief Justice of High Court and 4 other senior judges. So only after approval by CJI and Supreme Court Collegium, so names will be suggested for the appointment for High Courts. Okay, High Courts Collegium and High Court. Next one is through this collegium system, judges of High Judiciary, they were appointed, and they also focused on transfer of judges. So if you're talking about why recently this collegium system is in use, because recently Supreme Court Collegium, which made it transferred Chief Justice of Madras High Court, okay, to Meghalaya High Court. So he shifted from 75 judges to 4 judges. Okay, so Supreme Court Collegium transferred the Chief Justice of Madras High Court, India's fourth largest court, and the sanction strength of this Madras High Court is 75 judges. Okay, and this Chief Justice of Madras High Court shifted or transferred to Meghalaya High Court with sanction strength of only 4 judges in this Meghalaya High Court. So if we are talking about constitutional provisions which are related to this transfer of judges, we need to talk about Article 222. So if you are talking about this Article 222, so this article mainly deals with transfer of judges and states that President may, or after consultation with the Chief Justice of India, they can go for transfer a judge from one high court to another high court. And if we are talking about some important provisions, that is paragraph 2.5 of Memorandum of Procedure, CJI should ascertain the views of Supreme Court judges knowledgeable to High Court concerned. But here in this appointments, what happened? Judges made a transfer without choice, without mainly giving or without mainly telling to the public here. Okay, CJI and 4 senior most Supreme Court judges, they should seek response of the judge to be transferred and his preferred choice of destination, but it is not taken into consideration here. So in this context, what is a way forward? So if you are talking about way forward, Supreme Court had already struck down this NJAC. It is 99th Constitutional Amendment Act, which mainly citing independence of the judiciary. So but this independence should also ensure even accountability. So here, whenever there is any transfer on any appointment of judges, so we need to disclose it to the public. So this is the way forward. And if you are talking about important articles which are present in today's newspaper that I collected from editorial and op-ed page, here is more a private sector primer than healthcare pathway. So this article mainly talking about private sector in health infrastructure. So you can easily understand that article, you can read that. And next one is end the blame game. So already this topic also we discussed in our yesterday's lecture. Okay, so these are the 2 important topics that you need to refer in the page number 6 in editorial page. So by this I am concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please don't forget to enroll into this prelims test series and as well as mains answer writing practice or any other course you wish. So please subscribe to Rathod's IAS and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. Thank you so much.